because of a pending habeas petition before the Southern District of New York. But let us be clear, her case appeals have already gone to the United States Supreme Court and they have been denied. She is not being released from jail unless, of course, Donald Trump buys what she's selling. So we want to be clear that she is exactly where she's supposed to be in terms of her conviction, and she needs to go back to the prison where she belongs. Now, we have a lot of questions for Ms. Maxwell with regards to what actually happened in Epstein's affairs, who was directly involved in the sex trafficking, money laundering, and influence peddling scheme that she and Jeffrey Epstein were involved in, how Donald Trump was involved, and whether or not he committed any crimes himself, as did his many associates who are named in the Department of Justice files. Let us be clear that Donald Trump is not only named thousands of times in the latest release from the Department of Justice, he is named over 38,000 times in the files that were released 2 weeks ago alone. And we know that that only represents half of the files that the Department of Justice has in its possession, including files that were used for direct investigations of perpetrators, people who committed crimes, people who were co-conspirators in those crimes, and individuals who knew of those crimes. We know that there are multiple administration officials, including Howard Lutnick, Elon Musk, who served as the appointee for the DOJ efforts in the White House. We know that the Secretary of Navy, we know that Steve Bannon, we know that there are more than 36 associates, family members, and individuals directly associated with Donald Trump named in those files. Now, there are now at least 9 or 10 other countries across the world that have opened investigations or forced their leaders to step down because of their mere association with Jeffrey Epstein. And the United States government is engaged in an active cover-up of the largest sex trafficking scandal and influence peddling scandal in the history of the United States, and Donald Trump is right at the center of it. And the person who is living to provide the evidence, who knows what is going on, is trying to invoke the Fifth to buy her clemency. So let's be clear on what we saw here today. This was an effort to essentially try to secure her pardon by keeping her mouth shut. And we will not allow this silence to stand. It was announced late last week that the Department of Justice would allow members of Congress to view the unredacted files of the files that have been released, and many of us will head to the Department of Justice today to look at the memos and internal documents of Department of Justice that were removed from the website, to understand why names of survivors were unmasked, and why and who the Department of Justice is shielding as they have redacted files that include perpetrators and co-conspirators. And with that, we will stand for questions.
Can you talk about if there was a conversation around Howard Lutnick, for example? I know Comer said he didn't want to disrupt the other 5 depositions that they have scheduled, but I don't know how even just trying to speak to Comer would disrupt the other 5. So I wonder if you could help us understand.
With regards to this deposition?
With regards to any future deposition with Howard Lutnick or some of the others that you described.
The committee is keeping an ongoing list of individuals we would like to subpoena. It's really important for folks to understand that in order for us to subpoena anybody, the majority has to consent. And so while we appreciate that there is bipartisan cooperation in this case, we have a whole list of individuals we would like to subpoena before the committee that they have not consented to. Of course, we would like to speak to Secretary Lutnick, and I personally believe that Mr. Lutnick needs to step down immediately.
Ma'am, what is your message to survivors amid this sort of wall of silence that we've seen today from Ghislaine Maxwell?
Our message to survivors is that we are here to bear witness, to fight for justice, and to fight for convictions.
Yeah, I mean, we're standing with them. We have been in communication with those survivors that are really, there are a certain number of survivors that are really more involved than others, and they are standing for their fellow other survivors. They're out front. We are standing with them, and we are telling them that we're not going to back down, which is why we're very clear about the fact that, yes, this took place today, and basically Ghislaine was like, I'm not going to participate, but we're not going to stop. You know, there were those that thought we would stop when we were able to get the discharge petition done. There were those that thought we were going to stop when it didn't seem like we had the votes once we finally got that done. I mean, the House Speaker shut the House down so that we would not go there, right? And now that they have violated the law, because this is actually in law, we are not stopping. So I want people to understand that House Democrats, we are going to be on their asses. Like, that's just the reality.
And what is your message to President Trump in that case?
Same thing. We're going to be on his ass. I mean, you know, it is so, I don't really know where we are in this country. Why are we even having this conversation? The United States is falling apart right now, partially because he's going out and randomly allowing for the killings of people in the middle of the street. But the other part of it is that we have a 34-count off. Like, I don't understand why we are pretending like any of this is normal. And I think that that is the level of frustration that so many people are bringing, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent, specifically to the Epstein file situation. Because right now we know that they were willing to try to throw the Clintons in prison for not showing up, yet they